Many trade unions are on strike today, including those trade union members in schools, universities, railways, and also in the public sector around border control in terms of policing the violent colonial borders of Britain. This is one of the biggest days of industrial action in decades in this country. However, the far-right Tory government are refusing to negotiate with striking workers and also obliging other employers not to enter into negotiation with those taking industrial action. On the one hand, the strikes indicate a positive step forward for working class communities, inasmuch the strike shows the commonality and the unity of working class interests. On the other hand, there are still hierarchies in these workplaces, in the public sector, where the poorer and more oppressed workers, who are disproportionately black and brown, have often no union membership and are on 0-hour contracts or through agency work and in a much more precarious situation in terms of their labour rights and employment rights vis-a-vis those more higher up in the hierarchy who are in unions and who have full-time contracts. This division within workplaces and within trade union work themselves points to the fact that there still is, until that the most oppressed workers are in the leadership of the strike momentum and movement, that the strike wave in itself reflects, on the one hand, a positive move, but on the other hand, still a perpetuation of the hierarchization within workplaces themselves. And on the other hand, for the far-right Tory state, they seem to be in no mood to negotiate with the trade unions themselves. And in the trade union leadership, many of which will have salaries between £80,000 and £120,000 a year, indicating that their actual political culture and nature of their political economic existence is closer to the employers than it is to the most oppressed members in their own trade unions. This also points to a systemic corruption based on a neo-colonial relationship to the rest of the world of the trade unions and their bank accounts themselves. But also, this being the case, the trade union leadership have not actually applied a strategy that can put increasing pressure on the government. Arguably, they've gone the other way in implementing one-day strikes, which will put a very minimal pressure on the Tory government itself, and also is really the least that can be done in relationship to the growing pressure of the grassroots members of the trade unions who have demanded and who have really delivered these strikes, and not the trade union leadership. So going forward, it seems the trade union strike movement, while indicating a positive shift to united working class action, will not win its demands, because there is no strategy of escalation in the approach of industrial action. And also, if we zoom out and understand what the situation of the grassroots is in Britain as a consequence of decades now of defeats on the left and victories of the far right and the right within the state and the government as manifested in the far right Tory state, we can see that actually all of these policies are having the effect of further dividing working class communities from each other. That's Counter Narrative News, bringing you daily news.